Welcome to Everlasting Summer, part 40? I don't remember what number we're on. 39? I don't know why I tried to remember what number we're on just suddenly. I was... welcome. We were just in the tunnels with Ilyana, trying to find Shurik, and we're at the turns now. And, well, I went right, because... I went right so I can get the save choice, because when you're like this, you don't get that save choice, so... I think we're just gonna go right again. The reason I went right is because Ilyana said let's go right, so... Hopefully, this won't take long. I should have took note of the way I went before. Last time, because that was, like, really quick. And I don't know if that carries over. Please let me get out of here. Oh wait, did that say we're back? We returned to the same place we'd begun. Let's keep on searching. Let's go left then, from the start. Come on. Miners' camp. Picks and helmets everywhere. A rusty wagon stood in the corner. All the items were so old, they dated from the beginning of the 20th century rather than the middle. So this really is mine. Which means we can wander around here for ages without finding a way out. But I sensed that an exit was somewhere nearby, and so we went further. Oh my god. Okay, we're actually here. That took forever. At last, the ray of the flashlight revealed an old wooden door in the darkness. Here we are. Where? Somewhere. I don't know. Sorry, I had to get the guide up. But she was right about something. At least we'd gotten out of the labyrinth. After all these turns and forks, I wasn't sure that we'd ever make it back, but, on the other hand, why wouldn't this mine have any exits? Leon opened the door and stared into the darkness. So, you won't go first as usual? Well, okay. I stepped over the threshold. Well, you have the flashlight, don't you? A small room was beyond the door, maybe a storage room for the bomb shelter. There were bottles and cigarette stubs, which meant that somebody had been here before us. It wasn't an encouraging fact by itself, but it was. But now I was certain that there was another exit from the mine, since they couldn't have come the same way we did. The ray of light moved around the room, examining every corner. Suddenly, it lit up a human figure. It was Shurik, huddled up against one of the walls. Hey, there you are. We've been looking for you all night, and you... It seemed he hadn't noticed us, just sitting and mumbling something. Shurik. Who's that? What do you mean who? Your rescue team. Get up and let's go. I won't go anywhere with you, he mumbled. You'll lead me around these tunnels again, I know. I won't go anywhere. I'll stay right here. You won't get me. Stop with your nonsense. Looks like he's gone insane. No, you won't trick me this time. Stop it already. I took a few steps towards Shurik, but he jumped up at once and waved a metal rod. Don't come near me. Leave me alone. Calm down, it's me, Semyon. Don't you recognize me? Semyon? No, you're not Semyon. I noticed that Ilyana, who was standing next to me, had disappeared somewhere. You're not Semyon, and I'm going to... In the trembling light, Shurik's hand appeared for a moment, wielding the metal rod. I covered my head instinctively. Nothing. When I opened my eyes, he had already disappeared. Ilyana stood next to me and giggled, holding the metal rod. Just like a scout. Yeah, a scout. From somewhere far off, the devilish laughter of Shurik was heard. He ran away. Screw him. I don't care if he dies here. I spat on the floor and leaned against the wall. If it hadn't been for Ilyana... I wasn't prepared for that. Shurik might not have killed me, but he could have seriously injured me. To be left lying here injured would be equivalent to death. We don't even know when help will arrive. And would they be able to find me in this labyrinth? Why the hell did I agree to come here? Indulging that girl. You look like you're going to kill somebody. If a good candidate presents itself... Ilyana shuddered. No, not you. Might be nice to spank you. What? But there's no reason to kill you. She smirked. Yet. Oh, you. Okay, it's definitely time for us to get out of here. They can send their special forces, rescue teams, Ghostbusters, whatever tomorrow. I don't care. Will we go back? I looked around the room once again and noticed a door to my left. Wow. The door was just like the bomb shelter, a massive metal one. I pulled the wheel a couple of times, but it just creaked dully. If only I had that crowbar. Doesn't work? Ilyana asked in a depressed voice. No. Actually, I didn't have any strength left. If only I had that crowbar, or some sort of metal rod that Ilyana stole from Shurik. In another situation, I would strain myself, ask Ilyana to help, look for something to use as a lever, but now I just wanted to get out of this mine. I wanted to hope that there was a path of least resistance for us to take. And that meant hoping that I remembered the way through the labyrinth. Let's go back. Oh shit. Okay. She smiled and took my hand. We walked even slower on the way back through the labyrinth. Stones scattered around our feet. Water dripped from the ceiling onto our heads, feeling like drops of molten tin. Ilyana quieted down and followed me in silence. Did something happen? What do you mean? It's strange for you to be quiet for more than a minute. No, everything's alright. But something was wrong for sure. One fork after another. A minute ago I was certain that at the next corner I would see the cross Ilyana had scratched before. I was wrong. My faith in my ability to guide us was melting away with each second. Well, whatever. I decided to distract myself with conversation. It's alright, it's just... What? It all went so wrong with Shurik, and now we're stuck here. You saved my life. You should be proud of yourself. I tried to encourage her, but Ilyana didn't seem to get it. But if I hadn't taken this metal rod away, he might have stayed. Whether he'd stayed or not, what's the difference now? We'd still have to get out from here. Wouldn't we? Yes, but... Everything's alright. That cycle will find a way out for sure. I really was sure about that. Finally, we came to a long tunnel, on the wall of which was the cross. Ilyana teared up a bit, and we almost ran the rest of the way to the surface. You see? The full moon shined above us again, and the building of the old camp didn't look nearly so ominous as before. Especially in comparison to the bomb shelter in the catacombs. Yeah, I was about to say, especially in comparison to what you just had happen. That was cool, wasn't it? Looks like Ilyana's gotten her usual cheerfulness back. I'm not too sure about cool, but I'm glad we got out. So, shall we go and look for Shurik? What? I was speechless for a moment, unable even to finish the sentence. Are you crazy? We already found him. Tomorrow Olga and the police will go down there and catch that caveman to run tests on him. Well, Noel's back to the camp, to sleep. I walked rapidly from that dreadful place, ignoring the furious Ilyana. Within 10 minutes, we were already back at the square. Okay, that's all for today. Dismissed, soldier. Blah. Ilyana saluted, and I was about to leave when she suddenly yelled and started to excitedly wave her hands. Look, look! I turned to the benches and saw Shurik lying on one of them. Oh my. Oh my. It was really hard to wake him up, as if the caveman had decided to sleep for a year beforehand. Ah, what? Where am I? He mumbled in his sleep. Do you want to explain yourself now? Explain what? We've been looking for you all night, and you jumped at Semyon with a metal rod, and then ran away. Liana jumped around the bench, ready to explode. Boom. What happened? Why am I here? Shurik seemed to come to his senses. Oh, do be so kind as to explain that. How did you get out of the mine? Why did you go there in the first place? Everything, step by step. What mine? There was such sincere surprise in his eyes that I started to doubt. He really might not remember anything. Where have you been for the last 12 hours? I don't know. Shurik sat and his face frowned with the effort of thinking. I went to the old camp in the morning. People say there's some old equipment there for parts for the robot, and... He stared at us in confusion. And? And that's all. So you don't remember? I don't. Okay. I sat next to him and leaned back on the bench. The stars shone brightly in the sky. They remember everything. Sorry, alarm on my phone was going off. Even what Shurik was doing in the bomb shelter. Post-traumatic shock. Poster what? Such symptoms are experienced by people after heavy stress, after a disaster, for example. Shurik remarked with a smart look on his face. You should sleep now. Yes, but we'll speak tomorrow. Shurik looked at me for some time, but then he got up and slowly walked to his cabin without saying a word. So what is it with him? He probably forgot everything that happened in the mine. He's lying. Look, why would he have to lie? So you wouldn't have to answer for when he tried to attack you with a metal rod, she said uncertainly. Doesn't look like it. And does it matter now? It does. We must find out. The criminal must be punished. If that rule was applied to you, you would have been placed under house arrest a long time ago. Or worse. What does that have to do with this? I don't leap at people with a rod. It wasn't intentional. He's lying. He may be lying. I was really exhausted after today, especially this night, and I really didn't care whether Shurik was speaking the truth or just pretending to. It really looks like he doesn't remember anything. I'm going to sleep. Then Liana jumped up and stood on her tiptoes. Good night. You too. I don't know. It seemed like there was something special in the expression of her face that moment. I didn't care. 'Cause you're a dick. Well, suddenly we're here. Wait, what? Bam. Suddenly we're here. The camp leader had been waiting for me at home. I thought you wouldn't come back. I would have expected any reaction from Olga, except that one. Since you went with Ileana, aren't you supposed to worry about us? Why should I? You're okay. Oh, okay then. Okay then. I had neither the strength nor the will to argue with the leader, or to find out the reasons for her behavior. Took my clothes off and crawled under the blanket. It's all too much for a single person. Looking for Shurik in the dungeons was a job for search and rescue professionals. Doing it with Ileana for certified madmen. But it was, in a way, fun. I fell asleep with I fell asleep with a smile on my face. Day 5 already? Dang. We ran. I'm gonna skip this. Alright, so we're at the hiking thing, right? And it says, oh, there's two things here that I didn't see actually. Two choices I didn't actually see come up, so that's interesting. It says after finding Shurik, go to the classrooms. That wasn't a thing. And it also says refuse, which wasn't a thing, but the next choice is to go to Ulyana, of course. I didn't think about Ulyana that evening at all. That thing with the cake. Like it didn't even happen. Though I remembered well her resentful, disappointed face. Maybe in some other situation, I would never have decided to go to her, but now a fine reason to leave this place and end this stupid hike has appeared. Recalling that Olga told me to be prepared for new tasks, I decided to not ask for her permission, and after choosing the proper moment, I disappeared in the woods. Night fell on the camp. I mentally thanked the camp leader for not researching the land too well, since this meant civilization was only a few hundred meters away. Another long walk through the night forest was not in my plans. Soon I came to the square and hesitated. Won't it look silly? What would I tell Ilyana? I love you. Moreover, why would I go to see her in the first place? My head was so heavy and full that there was no room in it for the development of any ideas. If I would compare my brain at its prime to a broad highway full of speeding thoughts, we've already read this, overtaking each other and causing yeah, no, we've already read that though. So it's better to not think about anything and just act. But where should I go? Maybe to her cabin? And what if she's not there? Ow. Okay then. All of a sudden, something knocked me down and I fell to the asphalt. It's a good thing I had time to stretch out my arms, otherwise I would have broken my nose. Gotcha! I quickly got up from the ground and saw Ilyana standing before me. What are you doing? I couldn't stop myself from shouting, despite my best efforts. You shouldn't be stargazing, she answered viciously. What if I'd smashed my nose or broken my arm? I said more calmly. Well, neither of those happened. Look, why do you always mock me? I already regret my decision to try and ease her loneliness. Was today's punishment not enough for you? Can you even draw simple conclusions? It's entirely your fault. The smile instantly disappeared from Ilyana's face. What exactly was my fault? Everything. Mean I'm to blame all the time? Yes. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and turned away. Great. I suddenly wanted to get away from this place as fast as possible. But it wasn't because of you that I came here. It wasn't because of you I came here. Yes, it was. What? I guess you're quite bored, given that everybody is hiking, and you're alone here. I don't care, she yelled cheerfully. Well, if things are that way, what do you want to do? What do you mean? Well, if you came here because of me... Such a thought hadn't occurred to me. Although, I don't really know what I came here for. After such a greeting, I no longer want to do anything. Then it's up to me to choose, said Ilyana cheerfully and started to think. I stared at her for some time, but then couldn't stand it. Listen, Shurik began planning to... I know. Let's scare the others. We'll dress up as ghosts, for example. It's gonna be so fun. I didn't find this funny in any way. Enough of that already. I began tiredly, but broke off. Maybe that's not such a bad idea. After all, by the time she thinks it over and gathers all she needs, Olga and the Pioneers will already be back. If I came here because of Ilyana, then I need to play along. Perhaps you're right. What? She was looking at me with her eyes wide open. Are you gonna agree just like that? Well, what's so wrong about that? And furthermore, if you insist. She studied me attentively for several seconds, then rattled off. Excellent. Then we need some bed sheets. We want to look like real ghosts, don't we? Probably. You go get them, Ilyana announced imperiously. Where do you think I'm going to get them? Take them from your cabin, obviously. Wasn't that obvious to me? So you don't want to. She instantly made a gloomy face. Okay. I recalled the fact that there were spare sets of bed linen in Olga's wardrobe, so maybe there was nothing to worry about. We approached the camp leader's cabin, and I said to Liana, "Wait for me here." "Sir, yes, sir." She rattled off and saluted me. Seemed Liana was entirely immersed in the game. I quickly found 2 clean white bedsheets. It's a shame they're going to get smudged. Yeah, because you can't clean things. Here, take it. I handed one of the bedsheets to her. "It's too large for me," Liana said after twirling it in her hands. No wonder, considering her height. "Give it to me." I folded the bedsheet in half and gave it back to her. "Much better now." "Follow me." She put the white cloth over her head and ran into the forest. "Can't you fucking see?" "Wait." I threw myself after her. Just a few minutes later, we were near the pioneers' campfire, hiding behind the trees. Now it was clear that the trick, promised at first, was taking an unpleasant twist. For some reason, I was sure from the start that the hike would end before Liana took any actions, and now we were standing 10 meters away from the pioneers, dressed in bedsheets. We didn't look frightening at all. Rather, we looked comical. "Get ready, on my command." Wait. Actually, I was joking when I agreed to all this. Think again. It won't do any good. You'll get yourself put under house arrest until the end of the shift. And so will I. No retreat, no surrender. Are you ready? On the count of 3. I started scrolling through all the possible outcomes in my head feverishly. There weren't many of them. First one, me and Liana run out from behind the trees and start the pioneers laughing, resulting in me getting a considerable scolding from the camp leader and possibly something even worse. And Liana is sentenced to the highest measure of punishment feasible under the laws of the pioneer camp. Second one, I stay here and observe with the others how Liana runs around the glade in a bedsheet. She is sentenced to the highest measure, like in the first option, and I stay relatively safe. Third one, I do everything possible to prevent her from committing this act of moral vandalism, and no one suffers but her self-esteem. It all could have gone so well, but either those thoughts took more than 3 seconds, or Uliana shortened the count. So I hadn't managed to pull myself together in the time when she sprung out into the glade, screaming inhumanly. As expected, all the pioneers laughed loudly. Some even fell from the log they were sitting on and started rolling on the ground. I tried to save the day and yell as loud as possible so Liana would hear me, but not the others. "Fool! Stop it! Come here!" Aww. I don't know whether it was my persuasion that worked, or Liana understood that her performance had failed, but she ran in my direction quickly, without pausing, hid herself in the forest. I didn't hesitate to follow her. Such a finale left a tiny chance that she won't be punished again. It's good that I didn't join in on that what the hell? I did say won't be punished again. Okay, I thought I read that wrong. That act. Now I need to find Liana. Turned out to be not that hard, as she hadn't managed to get far. Liana was sitting on a tree stump, crying. I stood still, hesitating. Of course, such an outcome was to be expected, but now I had absolutely no idea of what to do or how to comfort her. And besides, I'd gone back to the camp intentionally, and I had agreed to participate in that show. But it just got worse. As well as that, I was tired unto death. At that moment, I wished it would all just cease to exist. Just wanted to close my eyes and appear elsewhere, preferably in a quiet and peaceful place. But the sight of the sobbing Liana obliged me to take action. I walked up to her and sat on the ground. "Well, what were you expecting anyway?" I began philosophically. It was sure to end up this way. "You're to blame for everything. You!" Liana shouted in tears. "So, what would have changed if I had sprung out with you back there? We would both have been laughed at, that's all. You always act this way. Always." Her sobbing was becoming louder and louder, and then she suddenly rushed at me and started pounding my chest with her fists. The hits were not hard. It was more likely an attempt to take out the despair that had gripped Ileana than a real wish to beat me up. "Calm down already," I said firmly. She stopped crying for a second and hugged me. Maybe nothing would have changed, but it would have been more comfortable for me if we went together. I didn't know what to say, so I just patted her on the head. There. Can I stay like this for a bit longer? Yes. At that time, she didn't seem like a dangerously explosive nuclear reactor in the form of a little girl, but just a little sister of mine who'd mess things up. I wasn't mad at her at all. On the contrary, it seemed I too was beginning to care about the failure of the ghost-playing act. It's alright. There. We'll scare them properly next time. Yeah. I don't know for how much longer we sat in silence. Ileana stopped crying, and I didn't want to disturb her, as she had just calmed down. But I also had... updates. But I also had no desire to stay in the forest overnight. Hey, let's get back to the camp. I shook her shoulder gently, but there was no answer. Ileana had fallen asleep. Hey! I shook her harder. No effect. At that moment, I wanted to cry. Why does this always happen to me? Why do I get caught up in these foolish situations, always and everywhere? Even having suddenly appeared in a weird pioneer camp in the middle of nowhere, I don't get to become a subject in an experiment, a victim of a sick cosmic mind, or a participant in an intergalactic war on the side of a group of suicide-prone pacifists, like a regular hero in a science fiction. No, instead I have to spend the night in a forest with a little girl in my arms, who is muffled in a bedsheet. I don't see no bedsheet. Next time, I'd rather have the monstrous experiments. I stood up and put the sleeping Ileana on my back. Maybe there was a way to wake her up, but firstly, I didn't want to, and secondly, one more burden or one less. At that point, it made no difference. It's good that she's not heavy. At the square, I stopped, put Ileana on a bench, and threw myself down beside her, totally exhausted. Even a little girl is hard to carry for too long. The stars in the sky were shining brightly. Perhaps they gave their light, not only to me in this camp, but also shine on the city where I was born, and where my old home is. It was as if a pain settled in my chest. And we're gonna end this episode here. I can't wait to see where this goes. We're almost done. There won't be too much more for Ileana's Red either. It's going quickly. But thanks for all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.